Greetings, brothers and sisters. Probably a lighter day, shorter video today. We'll see what happens. You can all stop sending me. There was a video out there. It's where an English guy opens the door, someone rings the doorbell, and it's Britney dancing. And I've been sent it like 30 times. Like, I'm not going to cover it here. I understand why people are sending it to me, but I've already seen it. So you can stop sending me that. My backup channel, my new channel with the Gratefulness Meditation channel, I think I'm over 1,000 subscribers there, which is great, but it has to be more people to be monetized. So if you haven't subscribed to that channel, please do. And it will allow me to continue to post content after, if there's some other issues with both my other channels. One of the strikes came off my Apocalypse Now channel, so I'm down to one strike, but I still can't post there for another, week or so, or less than a week or something. So when I'm able to post there, I'll, let everybody know, and I'll start doing more Hollywood celebrity dropping like flies. But anyways, let's get into it here with one Kamala J. Harris.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been.
Okay, the Kamala Harris thing was something we watched yesterday, so I think it was sent to me again, even though, anyways. Point of view if you're Steven Crowder. The memes are going to start coming. Master Chef Australia host Jock Zonfrillo found dead at 46. A lot of these things I haven't been able to keep up with them, but it's happening on a regular basis. Bruise turned out to be deadly melanoma hiding on 21-year-old's nail. I mean, just, seems to be a lot of, cancer-related deaths. Felipe Corrales, Felipe is a former UFC fighter who was relatively young, and he's just died suddenly. I missed something here. I was showing this to my wife this morning, and I missed something here towards the end where he says this.
And my last question, transgender and non-binary computers face a...
Computers. He called these people computers, transgender and non-bi, and they filled in binary, even though he didn't say that. And then he says computers. Like I dissected what he, his multiple gaffes, but watching this again with my wife this morning, I'm like, did he just say computers? Like I completely missed that. I watched it like 4 or 5 times. He makes so many gaffes and makes so many errors in judgment anytime he's in a public setting or, anything that he does, that you can't keep up with them all, right? Like, that's how bad he is, and they're pushing this guy out there. I mean, the whole thing's hilarious. One of my viewers sent me this. I'll turn off the closed caption now. One of my viewers sent me this.
And they make it pretty clear on social media this month and last month, the month before. These are all from Border Patrol, the Border Patrol Union on you. The chickens are going to come home to roost because of what he's done. They call you a national disgrace. Remove Mayorkas was their most recent tweet.
Zap.
How can you lead a group of people whose union wants you out of office?
Chuck, I'm incredibly proud to work with the United States Border Patrol. I have supported them vigorously since my first day in office. I will continue to do so. A tremendous source of pride. And I will tell you this.
What do you think the disconnect is? Do you think this is...
Secretary of Homeland Security. This is about, we have to stop the flow of fentanyl.
This is media perception. Why do you think there is this a political disconnect? Is this a red-blue divide? Just simply that you're in a Democratic administration? What do you believe it is?
Chuck, I'm focused on mission. That's what I'm focused on. I look at their needs. I try to fulfill their needs. We go to Congress and seek support. This is the first administration since 2011 that has plussed up the Border Patrol with more agents.
There's no way to sell that you were good on immigration, right?
Chuck, it's a horrific crime, and I can assure you and the American people that law enforcement will deliver accountability. The case is an active one under investigation, so I really can't comment further.
Who is this, like, what's that, Daddy Warbucks looking at him?
There is some question about his citizenship. He supposedly had a
But anyways, they're talking about fentanyl here, right? Which is a pharmaceutical drug, and it is causing chaos. Now they're mixing it with this animal tranquilizer called Trank. What is fentanyl? Fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid drug approved by the Food and Drug Administration for analgesic pain relief and an anesthetic. It is approximately 100 times more potent than morphine and 50 times more potent than heroin as an analgesic. Analgesic. Where does fentanyl come? It's mass-produced in Mexico from chemicals, using chemicals from China before being pressed into pills or mixed with other counterfeit pills made to look like Xanax. Fentanyl was the patent is held by Dr. Paul Janssen of Janssen Pharmaceutica from 1959. So it's been around since the 60s. But again, this is a case where Big Pharma has created a monster that is, causing pain, suffering, and death to people in mass. GOP uses state capitol protests to redefine insurrection. Legal experts say the term insurrection has a specific meaning, a violent uprising that targets the government authority. So you can't call, like, liberal or democratic protest insurrections, is what they're saying, because of all this, right? Don Lemon post CNN plan revealed go to beach.
What's the plans for you right now?
I'm going to enjoy my summer, spend it on the beach, and have a great time. That's it.
Don,
And then when you realize that's it for you, like that's your whole life ahead of you, because your career is over.
you have to hold your tongue like, Lord, these people are testing me. Lord, have mercy.
It's not me. If you knew me, you would know it's not me.
I just want to know what's the
Don, it's totally you. The communication breakdown between U.S. and China raises the risk of unintended consequences. Chinese neighbors and U.S. allies worry that each side could misinterpret the other's intentions, and underlying distrust has infected the relationship, former officials say. Well, look at that creepy M&F mullet here. That Crypt Keeper mullet. There's no misunderstanding. China wants to be number one, right? Jody Suiwa's puppy tragically killed in an accident. Going to miss you. Yeah, it seems like the way she's handling her puppy, the way that she's acting here. Like, so maybe maybe you should treat your puppy better. And, like, that's not a toy. Michael J. Fox says Parkinson's battle getting harder. I'm not going to be 80. Well, I don't think anybody thought that was a possibility. He's 61 now. Rosie O'Donnell says pal Madonna is strong enough to deal with the haters. The haters that are making fun of her now mutilated face. And those are haters who are pointing out that she's turned herself into an inhuman-looking creature. Like this, right? That's not being a hater. That's just seeing spiritually hungry. That means she wants to absorb energy from some unsuspecting fan or whatever fans. Megyn Kelly sports red mega-style hat and poolside pic. Here's the hat. And it says, make women female again. I don't know what that even means. I don't know what Megan's going with there, but, they're upset about it over at New York Post, or I guess they're not. Hunter Biden may be held accountable for the first time in his life in baby mama Luden Roberts' case. This is where he impregnated a stripper named Dallas from Arkansas, Batesville, Arkansas. Apparently he's paying $20,000 a month because he's got all that, money coming in from foreign companies because he needs to be supported as an artist and a crackhead. So it's getting ugly. And there he is there. Matthew Lawrence claims he lost his Marvel role after refusing to strip for director.
I've lost my agency because I went to the hotel room, which I can't believe they would send me to, of a very prominent Oscar award-winning director who showed up in his robe, asked me to take my clothes off and said he needed to take Polaroids of me, and that if I did X, Y, and Z, I would be the next Marvel character. I didn't do that.
Okay, well, good for you, Matthew. You made a wise decision because they were never going to make you into a Marvel character. Tim Bachman Turner Overdrive member, dead at 71. So there's just so many of these so-called musicians, in air quotes, that have passed away or can't perform. I mean, they're one of the hardest hit, especially drummers. So this is Jen Psaki, and she has not made the smooth transition to media. She's dropping the water sign here like Trump always do.
Fox cuts ties to Tucker Carlson, but don't give the Murdochs.
See the way she does that? Like she's trying to, I mean, she just sucks at the,
Fox cuts ties to Tucker Carlson.
Fox cuts ties to Tucker Carlson.
But don't give the Murdochs a Profile and Courage Award just yet.
Just yet. Like she's horrible at not nearly as bad as Fetterman, but again, just not good at it.
I'll take you through all of the things they didn't fire Tucker for and what that reveals about the future of the network. The announcement that Fox News had abruptly fired Tucker Carlson caught many by surprise, including Tucker Carlson.
She's just so bad. Like she's just horrible at it.
It ignited a flurry of reporting about why exactly the conservative cable network parted with its top.
So staged, so it's like stiff and self-conscious.
Rated host. Was it because of highly offensive and crude messages discovered by the board of directors? Maybe. Like reportedly calling a female executive the C word, you know the one. Was it due to the
We know that one. Yeah, you know it too.
workplace harassment lawsuit filed
by
a former producer? Or was it simply that Rupert Murdoch decided Carlson was more trouble than he was worth? For now, it's not entirely clear. But what we do know is that for years, Fox News seemed to have ample reasons, many of them, to oust Carlson, and did nothing.
Nothing.
Take, for instance, this anti-immigrant screed in 2018.
We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided.
Charming. Then there was Carlson's outrageous January 6th conspiracy theories, like this one.
Conspiracy theories.
Saying it was all an inside job.
The government knows who they are, but the government has not charged them. Why is that? You know why. They were almost certainly working for the FBI. So FBI operatives were organizing the attack on the Capitol.
Obviously crazy.
Obviously crazy. Okay, do you have any data to show he was wrong, right? Can you... Obviously crazy. Obviously crazy. That's great.
Obviously crazy. And of course, there was his obsessive promotion of the white nationalist replacement theory.
An unrelenting stream of immigration. But why? Well, Joe Biden just said it. To change the racial mix of the country. That's the reason. To reduce the political power of people whose ancestors lived here and dramatically increase the proportion of Americans.
You mean Native Americans?
Newly arrived from the third world.
Throughout it all, Fox backed Tucker. When asked in 2021 to comment on Carlson's long record of lies and bigotry, and you just heard a lot of them there, Fox News plainly said, "We fully support him."
Kaboom. And what about MSNBC supporting you sucking? Or, I mean, like the fact that you get horrible ratings. I mean, your whole network, right? I mean, that, at least Tucker Carlson brought in viewers, which is his job. You guys are, unwatchable. I mean, this is not professional like even performance level journalism. This isn't professional like entertainment, right? This is like cringeworthy.
And for years they did. But if you think Tucker's firing means Fox has seen the light, don't hold your breath. Don't judge them on why they fired Carlson. Judge them for all the times they didn't. And judge them for what they're still putting on the air this week.
Fox has outperformed you guys for years. And there's a reason for it. Now, Fox sucks. Like, it's unwatchable to me. But they understand how to appeal to a demographic. And you guys don't understand your demographic. Like, you have focused on Trump because you understood that people were hating and freaked out by Trump. So you made everything about Trump. CNN and MSNBC. 90% of their content came back to Trump in one way or another. It was about Trump. And they had their heyday. That was their best rated time. And they're still getting trounced by Fox, right? And, the rest of the media. And it's, it's painful to watch. I mean, it's, the personalities they put on the air, the lack of humor and entertainment and, just being able to create a story and narrative, the self-consciousness and the, just being wrong all the time, right? I mean, Fox sucks. Like, there's, Fox is unwatchable. And these guys are losing to them epically.
Since his exit on Monday, it's been business as usual for their primetime lineup. Here's Laura Ingraham on Thursday.
American citizens see that Biden's team isn't focused on raising their standard of living. Instead, the Biden team is focused on remaking the country, where illegal immigrant dreamers are valued over native-born Americans.
Sounds pretty familiar, right?
Yeah, right?
Fox News may have had a problem with Tucker himself, but his ideas, the conspiracies, the lies, his explicit white nationalist views were never the total problem for the network. They endorse all of that and continue to do so. This is simply who they are.
And who you are is Jen Psaki. Don't quit your day job. Christian activists are fighting to glorify God in suburban Texas school district. This is the kind of stuff that there's this artificial battle because of the social movement of this neoliberalism movement. And they're going to fail because, this whole idea of making America great again, going back to something that wasn't great in the first place, right? And that's where Trump has failed. Like, you have to come up with something new. Like, we have to evolve. We're de-evolving right now. We're getting stupider. We're getting, everything. The internet, I mean, there's a whole level of everything getting worse. It's because people are getting worse. And you can't go back to the way it was. You can't go back to something that wasn't great in the first place, and it led to what's happening now, right? So you have to step up and go to another level. That's what's being asked of humanity. And, people aren't getting it, right? And won't get it till the system completely collapses. And there has to be, some, an awakening on a real level, not this fake awakening that people think they're having, whether they're woke or they're in the truth community. The first survivor of Alzheimer's is out there, but we won't get there without you. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I don't even know why I have this up. Join the fight against Alzheimer's. Must be an ad I opened up accidentally. Tucker Carlson trashes Fox News and newly leaked footage. The site sucks. And so here is Media Matters got this audio. So he's talking to somebody here.
I don't want to be a slave to Fox Nation, which I don't think that many people watch anyway.
I don't know what it is, so yeah.
We're gonna because I'm like a representative of the American media now. Speaking to an exile in Romania and welcoming him back into the Brotherhood of Journalists.
Yeah, it would help us out if you wore a sweater though, because we asked him not to wear a suit. Like, he was panicking about it. So you don't have to. Tucker's gonna be looking casual. That's just how our show looks. Is that okay?
Tucker's getting whiny again.
I mean, this is airing on the nighttime show, and I want it to look official. I don't want it to be like bro talk. And I
bro talk.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the majority of it, like if we go like 45 minutes, it's going to be for Fox Nation.
But nobody's going to watch it on Fox Nation. Nobody watches Fox Nation because the site sucks.
Yeah, just like CNN Plus.
So I'd really like to just dump the whole thing on YouTube. But anyway,
there it is. Boom. He's saying that their online platform, Fox, is killing it compared to MSNBC and CNN. They couldn't survive. CNN Plus, they lost, what was it? Millions upon millions of dollars on CNN Plus, and it was so embarrassing. It only lasted for like a month. They got no views. They couldn't compete with even, small channels like mine, right? They were getting, in the like 1,000 views. I mean, just nothing. Like, and so Fox Nation, the same
that's just
thing.
my view. I'm just frustrated with it's hard to use that site. I don't know why they're not fixing it. It's driving me insane. And they're like making like Lifetime movies, but they don't work on the infrastructure of the site. Like what? It's crazy, and it drives me crazy because it's like we're doing all this extra work and no one can find it. It's unbelievable, actually. I don't know who runs that site,
We're
but
going to play a sizable chunk on the show tomorrow night. That's the plan.
Anyways, so that happened. Kim Kardashian, Pete Davidson reunite at Met Gala 9 months after breakup. There they are. Like him looking like some sort of pale stalker, her looking like some sort of manufactured mannequin, dudeish mannequin, and, everyone goes home happy. Okay, so I'm dealing with a polyurethane issue in the place I normally record my videos, and, it's just a temporary situation. I'm trying to redo some worn out floor in our bathroom. So, this is a little bit shorter video today because I don't have my normal office, which is our bedroom. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit more about this whole thing with Dolly, Jaws, and James Bond movie, and the Mandela effect. And so I got so many comments on I think I mentioned it in 4 videos. And I've gotten well over, 200 comments, I think, in total, where people are sure they saw braces, right? I mean, it's something where, it happened a long time ago for me. I mean, we're talking about 40 years ago. And so, I mean, I don't think I would have made something up like that or misremembered. But, I'm pretty sure that that's what I saw. Like in terms of, I barely remember the movie at all. I remember the Jaws character. I remember a couple of scenes. For example, I remember the scene at the end of the movie where Roger Moore and this, one of his skanks are doing it in the space shuttle, and they're hovering, there's no gravity in the space shuttle. I mean, it's poor visual effects. And I, check that scene out, and that's exactly how I remember it, right? Sometimes you might forget a detail here or there. But not all of those people. Like, I think the majority of people who remember that scene remember braces. I didn't hear one person say that they saw this years ago and they didn't see braces. Either you didn't remember the scene at all, or you remembered it with braces, right? Unless you've seen it recently, and that's something different. And so there are a few comments where people are saying they think that they went back and edited out just to mess with people. But I just, there's not really much value in that. And, again, I mean, that's possible because there are these levels of, mind control and whatever it might be. But I don't think that happened here because they're pretty insistent about it. Even the actress who played Dolly, who they asked her this question. And so it seems like that didn't happen. Again, I don't know at what point it disappeared, but someone had a VHS tape, and I don't know if they could have, I mean, now it's easy to do something like that. Anybody can learn how to remove something like that from basic movie making editing equipment. And so video editing equipment. So, but back then it would have been much harder to do that, right? To do that in all these VHS tapes. And there's not any VHS tapes out there, the original movie on it, or any recording. There's no evidence supporting this idea of braces out there. Like there's nothing out there. Somebody said that there's a video, but that's somebody putting in the braces, right? I've seen people put in the braces. So, I don't think that's what happened. And this has happened in different, a lot of things that they couldn't have edited out, right? It's like the books themselves have changed. Like people had books that are 50 years old and there was something written one way, biblical, there's passages in the Bible, things like this, that now are different, right? And I just don't believe that it was edited out. People always want to attribute everything to the controllers. So then, it gets weird, right? And if you throw out the idea that we all misremembered it, we all made it up, and we all are remembering it wrongly, which I don't think happened as well, because so many people, and like I said, the people who remember that scene remember it with braces. And so, again, this isn't the only event like this. I described some of the things that I've experienced personally. So if those things aren't the case, it's not misremembered, and they didn't edit it out, then that's where it gets weird, right? Like that's where the fabric of reality is now in question on our material plane of existence. And then you think about things like deja vu, and I've had experiences either in dreams or just knowing something was going to happen a certain way. Like I had a vision of the future. I've had, a number of these things that happen. Sometimes they're less detailed and more abstract. Sometimes they're pretty clear. And so if you think about things like that, right, and all these other ways that, don't make sense in terms of the physical laws, the laws of physics, things that science would dismiss as being impossible, right? Rearranging the physical laws, changing things that are, hard physical properties, and changing history, changing things that happened in the past. Those things shouldn't happen in a three-dimensional reality. They just shouldn't happen, right? And things that are physical in nature, like if you see things that are, they're hard, they're tangible, you can see them, touch them, feel them, right? All of these things, but when you get down to it, it's illusionary. Somebody wrote me this epic comment today. Let's see if I find it. I think it is here. So the person says, "So Paul, what is the real truth?" Now, I think this person might be a flat earther because I talked about that in the, that's how I'm perceiving, but they don't give any context. These are crappy comments because I'm also talking about the Mandela effect and like how the F do I know, right? I mean, you hear people saying in the comments, you look through the comment sections, and people will be like, "Well, this is what happened. Oh, this is what happened. Yeah, And if you're that kind of person, you're already, so far away from the truth, right? Because our world is illusionary, but we want the illusion. People warp reality to fit their worldview. It happens all the time. I mean, not just lying, but lying to oneself, deceiving oneself, and believing in the lies, believing in whatever way you've changed the fabric of reality. Most people, like let's say there was an oracle out there and told you the truth. They told you that, just knew the truth, told you the hard, clear, brutal truth. Most people wouldn't go to it. Like almost no one would go to it. Like they'd go to it once and it would be so painful for them. And they would, oh, that thing sucks. Oh, yeah, that doesn't work right. Whatever. They rearranged it. Because most people don't want the truth. I mean, I think everybody to some extent doesn't want it, right? That's why people are scared of God. I talked about this. Master Chargy said, Christians, the Christian religion, they want the Son of God and not God, because it's like you go to your boss and you say, well, I'm scared of my boss, but I'll talk to my boss's son. And maybe his boss's son will talk to the boss, right? You want to go between because you're scared of facing God. And people in general are scared of God, right? I mean, if they get in touch with God, it freaks them out. they're scared of the devil, but they're scared of God more because, they know what they've done. They know what, I mean, everyone's got things inside themselves, and your ego knows that it's running amok and it's hijacked your soul's purpose here on planet Earth. That's why, the more effed up somebody is, the more difficult it is for them to hear the truth. I mean, you could just, crack somebody by telling them the truth, or, when you in a situation where they can't, they can't rearrange it fast enough, can't discredit you fast enough. I mean, see what happens with the whole truth community and how we're perceived. I mean, with Jen Psaki saying, well, that's crazy, right? That's how they have to do it, because they have to say you're crazy, because that's the only explanation, that your belief system is crazy, because if you were telling the truth, then everything about our system would be subject to, that it's all illusion and it's all, deception and kind of evil. And people can't believe that the system they're 100% dependent on is evil. They can't believe that we're an evil empire, like any of these things, right? And so, the fabric of reality is not what people see it as. I mean, it's that way for everyone. That's why we have egos. That's why we have confirmation bias. So the true truth seekers are people who are willing to accept things that are painful for them to find out. Like for me, finding out that Dodgy was a fraud in the Heartfulness organization. Somebody I'd known for years, somebody I saw become elevated spiritually, someone who was taking the control of assuming the position of the master of the system that I have benefited from and love so much. And it's been painful for me to see him, just completely corrupt and the worst, embarrassing, and not just in terms of his own behavior and the people around them, but it's so low behavior. It's lower than, even the entry-level practitioners of the system should exhibit. Criminal, just all of it. And that's painful. That was painful for me. There's painful things that you experience in life. When I had goals, family goals, and personal goals tied into my family with my ex, and all these things, which I talk about in the Journey series quite substantially. And it was to build an intergenerational family farm. And when the divorce came about, and I just had to see that there was two versions of my ex, just like everyone else. There was the good side and the bad side, and I had to admit that the bad side was dominant, and there was no chance of the good side ever really, being alive or being, being expressed in a way that would cleanly be able to succeed in what we were trying to do. I mean, in terms of the, personality configuration of my ex, right? But then I had to accept things about, my family, my kids, and their preferences, and, my daughter's suicide, all these things. And not only was it like we weren't going to have some happy intergenerational family farm, like my family is completely broken. There's no contact between anybody. I mean, it's just like the good times have all disappeared in people's minds. There was, accomplishments. We built a homestead together. There's things that were, there's laughter and there's positive things and all that, right? And no one remembers it that way. I don't think anybody in my family situation remembers the good times. Everyone feels wronged and, feels like, whatever. Each person has their own complaints and whatever it is, right? And so it wasn't that it just was like we didn't achieve the goal of having an intergenerational family support system living in an agrarian area, but it's completely divided and there's nothing there. There's no family at all, right? So massive failure, like a massive disappointment. And so much of my adult life went into that, right? And those things were back to back and tied together, the stuff with my family and then the stuff with Kamlesh and Dodgy. And, those were all painful things, but they were there. I had to accept them, right? And I was, tired and worn out and didn't want to reinvent myself. But, the YouTube channel took off and, I remarried to, a great relationship, all these things. So, there's ways that it's gotten better and that's great, but it was hard. It's hard to realize that you're living a lie or, the way that you perceived reality or the things that you thought were going to happen had no chance of happening, your goals. But I've been able to accept such things to whatever extent, right? We all are in some level of denial. We all are, we get overwhelmed. Like I get overwhelmed, and sometimes the truth is overwhelming of your situation and the collapse of our society and all of it, right? But then you throw something in like this where, even the, very fabric of our reality is in question, that it isn't, it's nothing that you can really base even in terms of physical science or the laws of the physical world, because they can just change things, right? There are things that can happen that change retroactively what happened. Because, the way the reality is now, when we watched that movie, we did not see braces. But when we watched the movie, we saw braces, right? So something's changed. And, that's kind of interesting, right? And it kind of, makes everything, in flux, makes everything, liquid and fluid and abstract and spiritual and, ethereal and not concrete physical, hard physical reality. And I've talked about this before. And so, people saying, hey, Paul, what's the real truth? Well, if you want some concrete truth, you're never going to get it. There is nothing like that, because this is not reality, right? This is not our souls. Our soul is our true essence, our true, the true essence of our life. And it is encapsulated by a body on this planet for this period of time, and it changes. And, it might change to something, in a previous existence we might have been, an animal or a different race or a different sex or whatever it might be, right? And so, like, it isn't that we're this guy every time. Like, we're something different in each experience. And so even in terms of, like, just our past life memories or whatever else is going on, again, people don't believe past lives, whatever. I don't, I can't help you, I mean, if you're going to cling to the religion that you were indoctrinated in and the teachings that were given to you in school and by your family in a system that's based in deception, well, you're screwed, right? Like, you have no chance. I mean, first you have to break away from all those things, and then you have to, like, not accept everything, every explanation that you're given by whoever's telling you that, okay, this thing is fake, or this thing's a lie, and the official story isn't true, but here's the real truth. Okay, this is the real truth. I'll accept that, which is about, 80 to 90% of the people in the truth community do that. You just jump for the first solution that's given. And if you're admitting everything's a lie, and then you're like, well, this is the truth, well, how is that even possible? Like, why would you even believe that's possible? But anyways, I guess that's the answer. I don't know. Neither do you, right? Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.